medieval market square for the Jewish district. It's called in Polish Szeroka Street. In English it means more or less Broadway. But this is a little bit different Broadway than New York's Broadway, because over here around the Jewish district there is no any theater. However, instead of theaters, over here in the Jewish quarter were 4 synagogues around this one street. 4 synagogues around just one street. Look, before World War II in Krakow there were over 90 Jewish praying houses and synagogues. But of course we had World War II on the way, and during Nazi occupation most of them were destroyed. Only some of them survived. Today we have only 7 buildings of synagogues. But not all of them might be rebuilt as a synagogue again. Look, this building which is right next to us, this is Goldhofer Synagogue. It was built in 17th century. But as you may see, that's a bookstore today. That's a place where you can buy some souvenirs, that's a place where you can buy some books, but that's not a place where Jewish people pray. Unfortunately, Nazis were not stupid. They knew what to do. They knew how to start genocide. They knew they cannot start, with masses of killing people, like with mass murder. They had to start with humiliation. Unfortunately, Nazis were masters of psychology as well. They knew how to start psychological war, how to break the spirit first, and then when people are depressed, are not willing to fight. That's why actually since the beginning of the Nazi occupation in occupied Poland, Jews, they were losing their money, they were losing their bank accounts, they had to wear David stars on the right arm to signify they are Jews, they had to have special documents, they were obligated to work, there was no day off, they had to work very often for free. Also simply, they were closed within ghettos, they were murdered in death camps at the end, right? However, they also couldn't pray. During Nazi occupation, synagogues were closed. Most of them were destroyed, but it's not all of them. Because why to destroy good buildings, right? That's a good building. So simply Nazis started to use old synagogues on different purposes. Guys, some buildings of synagogues were turned into stables for horses, where Nazis were keeping excrements of these animals. There were also warehouses in some synagogues. In some synagogues, Nazis were keeping even corpses of dead people. Guys, Judaism is full of commandments, especially Orthodox Judaism, and simply there are a set of rabbis who have a special name, Cohen. Do you know Leonard Cohen? Actually, he had Jewish roots, right? Leonard Cohen, actually, he was not religious. However, Cohen, his name, it means something. Guys, it means a high priest. It means a high, person, according to Judaism, who will have a direct contact with Messiah when Messiah will come on the earth. So that's why in Orthodox tradition, Cohens, they must be very clean, because they might be prepared to visit of Messiah, right? So that's why Cohens, they have many restrictions, way more than just ordinary Orthodox person, right? So simply Cohens, they cannot enter, for example, cemeteries. They may enter cemetery only if someone really important in their life passed away. So they cannot have even small contact with the body. So it doesn't matter, there was World War II over 70 years ago, but simply in this building, Nazis were keeping corpses of the people. You shouldn't keep Torah inside. And a Kohen won't enter this building anymore, because it's not a sacred place anymore. Nazis were smart enough to destroy culture so many years after the war, because they knew how to do it. They knew Jewish culture. Many Nazis were highly educated. So basically, unfortunately, not every synagogue might be a synagogue. Not every synagogue might be rebuilt as a synagogue. That's why among 7 buildings of former synagogues today, only 3 of them which are still in use. But I brought you over here not only to speak about that, but also to speak about reasons. Why there were so many Jews in Poland? Why they were coming over here? Any ideas? In 14th century was the largest migration of Jews to our country. Because in 14th century there was happening something terrible. Black Death. Sounds familiar? An epidemic of, pest or plague, right? Guys, unfortunately many people died because of this disease. Approximately 35 up to 55% of European population in 14th century. However, here in Polish Kingdom, luckily, the epidemic wasn't that strong like in Western Europe. And also in 14th century Polish Kingdom, we had really good king. Our king was called Kazimierz III the Great. Kazimierz the Great got this nickname Great because he built first public university, built lots of castles to grow our country. He was definitely one of the best kings we ever had. But Kazimierz the Great, he wasn't a perfect person. Kazimierz the Great had some addictions, and people with a terrible sense of humor like me, we called him unofficially medieval Tiger Woods, because Kazimierz the Great had the same problem like Tiger Woods. Had over 200 mistresses, not 1, not 5. He was a very busy king, we can say. However, one of his mistresses, that was a Jewish girl called Esterka, And Esther, she heard about riots, about pogroms against Jews in many places. So look, if we're going to talk about city of Prague, right, where is the oldest synagogue in this part of Europe, which I mentioned, unfortunately, Jewish district in city of Prague was completely demolished. Many Jews were murdered over there. Because, look, Jews, they need to follow lots of rules, like I said. Every Jew should clean hands before every meal. Every single Jew must clean hands before every pray in a synagogue. Every single Jew must clean hands after every visit on cemetery. Every Jew must take a ritual bath called mikveh. So if we are going to compare hygienic life of 14th century Christians, they would take bath before Christmas, there was a holiday, right? Maybe that's the reason why Jews, they were not that strongly affected by disease, and many people were suspicious, right? Why we are dying just not that often? Maybe they are calling poisons to the wells, or maybe they brought this disease because they are cursed by God, because they betrayed Jesus Christ. That's why, guys, anti-Semitism increased dramatically in the time of the Black Death. That's why many Jews need to escape from one country to another country. However, when our king, Casimir the Great, was introduced with the situation, simply he decided to help Jewish people from hell. He gave them special privilege, and every Jew who decided to live in our kingdom in 14th century couldn't be judged or couldn't be killed by anyone else, just by the king himself or by royal permission. So Jews in our kingdom in 14th century were officially protected by state. That was a different story than many countries around. So simply in this way, many Jews were coming over here to settle down. Of course, our king Casimir the Great, probably he wanted to help not only his mistress, but also he wanted to help economy. Of course, we don't know main reasons why he simply decided to help. However, many historians, they think probably he knew that Jews might be helpful for our economy. Like I said, Jews, they couldn't possess the land. That's why many Jews became money-lenders. Many Jews were giving loans. But in medieval times, Christians, they couldn't give any money and expect some percentage. There was nothing like this, right? Only Jews create, let's say, proto-banking system. And maybe our king, he knew that maybe sooner or later he will need some injection of cash. Maybe that's why he decided to help Jewish people. Anyway, guys, the biggest number of Jewish migrants were coming to our country in 14th century. But this is only one of the reasons. Second reason why so many Jews were coming to Poland, this is 16th century. In 16th century, we were called Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. We're a very big and wealthy country, from the Baltics in the north to Blacks in the south. Wealthy, very, very strong and powerful country, full of nobles. Wealthy people who like to buy some jewelry. Jews were very famous jewelers, right? So in this way, they could come over here, they were protected by state, and they could run their business. Why not to come to Poland, right? And the third reason why many Jews were coming to our country is actually named. Look, Poland is called Poland in English. However, in Hebrew, Poland is called Polin. However, if you're going to count this word, Polin, on two pieces, Polin, it means more or less lay down, lay here. However, Jews in Europe were using also different language called Yiddish. In Yiddish, Poland is called Polania. And we're going to count this word, Polania, on three pieces. Polania. It doesn't mean Poland anymore. It means that's a dwelling of a god. For many, many, many religious Jews, it was equal to a prophecy about promised land. Many Jews were treating Poland as a shelter in Europe, where they can live, where they can stay, where can they run the business. Why not to come to Poland, right? That's why, guys, we have the largest Jewish population all over Europe, here in our country. That's why in Krakow, among 208,000 citizens, were 68,000 Jews, sorry. But of course, like I said, we had something on the way. We had World War II. So from 68,000 Jews, about 65,000 were murdered. From 3,700,000 Jews within the entire country of Poland, barely 250,000 survived. That's why around the corner, on the main square of the Jewish district, we have a stone. Stone, which is a symbol of Holocaust. Why there's a stone? Instead of David's star or, lion or menorah, this candlestick, like symbols of Judaism, but simple stone, out over there. So. Very good. Yes, that's a reason. Very good. Guys, if you watch, for example, Schindler's List, if you watch the film about Schindler, there is a very famous scene. The last scene of the film was made in Israel, on the cemetery where Jewish survivors and their relatives were placing stones on the grave of Oskar Schindler to commemorate his memory. Simply, that's a Jewish tradition. Whenever a Jewish person is visiting Jewish cemetery, he's putting stone on the Jewish grave. It's nothing forbidden to put a flower. It's nothing forbidden to put a candle on the Jewish grave. But simply, flower is going to die after a few days. Candle will burn down in a few hours, but you will find the same stone in a couple of 100 years. The stone won't be destroyed by time. So it means about memory, right? That you remember about your friends, ancestors who passed away. If you're gonna give a look around, guys, you may see, like I said, the oldest part of a Jewish district, cozy restaurants, right? Some nice buildings, the old synagogue on the other side, some cars, some people walking around. But guys, this is not only a popular touristic destination. Unfortunately, this part of Krakow is also one big cemetery. Those people who used to live over here before World War II, they were taken to places like Auschwitz-Birkenau. In death camps, their corpses were cremated, and they don't have a grave, right? Their ashes were just spread around camps. So for many people, actually, this district where right now is one big grave. That's why there is a big stone. However, Jewish culture still exists. And we'd like to find a synagogue which is not only a museum. You may come back and go inside over there. Can you see there is a gate with an inscription? When you're going to go through the gate, in the backyard there is second oldest synagogue in Kashmir, which was built in the middle part of 16th century. It's called the Rameh Synagogue, and simply it's still active synagogue. So, of course, you may see also an active synagogue. You may see the synagogue which is still in use. And there are no any restrictions. Everyone can go inside. Also, no worries, ladies. If you are afraid to go into the synagogue, there is no any problem for ladies to go inside. And definitely I recommend to come back and check this out. However, you are probably wondering how many Jews live in Krakow today, right? After World War II, after the communist era. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. We're going to talk about that in front of JCC, Jewish Community Center. However, on the way, I would like to show you a monument of a very, very important person. Simply, if more people would listen to him, probably the history would be a little bit different. Probably more people would survive. Let's go, follow me. When the rest will come, I will have a question for you. Guys, what do you think? Allied politicians, they knew about the scale of genocide. They knew about death camps, they knew about ghettos. They knew that many people, like actually millions of people, are going to die. They are going to be murdered by Nazis. They knew about that or not? They knew thanks to this man. This man who is sitting on the monument, this is Jan Karski. Jan Karski was a spy of the Polish intelligence. He was a spy of the Polish resistance. In 1942, he smuggled himself to the Warsaw Ghetto. In Warsaw Ghetto were 400,000 people closed. He smuggled small photo camera to have photo documentation. He collected information about Belzec, one of the first death camps in occupied territory of Poland. He collected information what Nazis are planning to do with the Jewish minority. And he escaped. He escaped from occupied territory of Poland. He escaped to Great Britain. He was trying to speak with Churchill. But Churchill doesn't want to speak with a spy. There was meeting only with the Minister of Foreign Affairs who promised, yes, we are going to help. After several months, nothing has changed. So in the beginning of 1943, Jan Karski went to the United States. He asked the President of the United States for help. However, the problem is that Auschwitz-Birkenau or any other death camp were never bombed. Of course, I mean, not bombing barracks full of people, but infrastructure, right? Railways, roads leading to death camps. Maybe in this way, if Allied politicians would pay more attention on the situation with genocide, in my opinion, maybe more people would survive. Maybe scale of the genocide wouldn't be that high. It was impossible to stop it, but it was possible to slow it down. But like I said, nobody wanted to listen to this guy, unfortunately. You may read a book written by Jan Karski, book which is, in my opinion, very important. Book which is written in English, so definitely is possible to read for everyone. Guys, book, it's called A Secret State, The Story of My Life, written by Jan Karski. There you can listen, actually they can read over there, about the response of the President of the United States when he heard about the genocide. You can also watch the film. You can check on YouTube, there is a documentary film made about Jan Karski. It's called The Messenger Jan Karski. And I would recommend to put subtitles on, because simply he was speaking English very well, but with very, very Eastern European accent. So not always is easy to understand, but over there you may watch the film on YouTube and also get some knowledge. But now we're going to go to see Jewish community.